New York prosecutors are seeking to extradite the suspect linked to the killing of an insurance company executive. Luigi Mangione was seen yelling as he went into court as he fought extradition from the state of Pennsylvania. Mangione was arrested there Monday at a McDonald's. That is hundreds of kilometers away from the last week's fatal shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione is facing several charges, including murder. Investigators say evidence includes a firearm linked to the killing and a handwritten document, a manifesto, if you will, expressing his ill will toward corporate America. While UnitedHealthcare's CEO did have an in-house detail during his visit to New York, they were not with him when he was shot and killed last week. But the tragedy has many companies rethinking their safety protocol, with many ramping up security measures for executives and general staff alike. Health insurer Medica temporarily shut down its headquarters in the U.S. state of Minnesota last week. The company said the move was done out of an abundance of caution, and a slew of healthcare companies, including CVS, UnitedHealthcare, removed photos of their executives from their websites. From 2021 to 2023, nearly 28% of S&P 500 firms reported spending for security on at least one of their executives, but that number could soon increase, if not dramatically. The head of security company Allied Universal is saying that they received a rush of calls from companies in the wake of UnitedHealthcare shooting. Okay, let's take a deeper look into all this. It's quite troubling, and for more insight into corporate security, where we're going in the wake of the UnitedHealthcare CEO murder, we're joined by James Moore. James is the founder and CEO of the Washington Institute for Business, Government, and Society. James, thanks for joining us. It's unfortunate you have to be here on this issue, but it is important. Now, while it stands, who bears responsibility for making sure that high-profile leaders are safe while working? And is there a standard? Like, what role do local governments play in all of this?
Well, quite frankly, government, and particularly the U.S. government, really only engages itself in the protection of CEOs and other high officials within the business community if they're going into risky parts of the world and are doing the business of the United States. Otherwise, it's got to be taken care of entirely by the private sector. In this particular case, I think it's important to put a few things in perspective. Sure. First of all, the suspect was valedictorian of his class at a very elite private school outside of Baltimore. He comes from a very wealthy family. Went to the University of Pennsylvania, got his bachelor's degree, and then he worked at Stanford University for a while. So this was not your typical individual who was out to kill someone as he did, but he planned quite well. And it was said that when he was picked up in Altoona, Pennsylvania, at a McDonald's, which I actually know because coincidentally that's not far from my home area where I grew up. Okay. The first thing he did was to shake when he was asked the question, have you recently been in New York City? And so this was an unusual situation, but he obviously had attacked the healthcare industry. Sure. Healthcare for Americans takes up 1/6 of the gross domestic product. And there are 8% of the American population that are not covered by medical insurance, and 23% are underinsured. But Mr. Thompson, who was killed in Manhattan in front of the Hilton Hotel, actually was making $50 million, and that was the sort of thing that has incensed some people when they're trying to deal with their own situation.
James, you make a wonderful forensic kind of diagnosis of where we are right now in this, but and as you pointed out, this suspect is innocent until he's found guilty. So all of this we're getting from the authorities. So look, if we don't know if frustration or anger is behind the killing of Brian Thompson, but lashing out violence has no place in society. But now the fear is out there. So other executives could very well be targeted. We talked about the way security is ramping up. What do you expect to see?
Well, quite frankly, the social media that has come out of this particular incident has frightened an awful lot of people. Some people actually heralded what this young man did. And so there's going to be an awful lot of discussion in boardrooms about how to enhance the security of their executives. And certainly healthcare is at the top of the list, but also behind it are energy, technology, and and other industries. And so I think there's going to be a complete reexamination on the part, particularly of Fortune 500 companies, but also other companies that are very concerned that because of policies that they put into place, business practices that they've been putting in place, that it somehow is going to have a ripple effect with the top brass of their companies.
Yeah, look, there's no easy way to say this, but it's extremely easy to get a gun in the United States legally or illegally. Now, reports say that the suspect in Thompson's killing allegedly assembled what's called a ghost gun, untraceable, getting parts from throughout the web and then putting it together, no serial number. Your thoughts on the concerns about gun safety moving forward?
Well, quite frankly, we're going to have to do something about this, and I think that this particular incident has incensed so many Americans that they are going to really be calling for the next administration to be able to address it and to be able to see that we don't have to face this in the future.
Yeah, 3D printers that can make guns,
Absolutely.
It's changing very rapidly. Okay, there's tons of public information out there. We talked about that, the way a lot of corporations now are taking photos of their top executives off the internet. Salaries information is out there. Corporate profits is out there. You talked about a number of the organizations that could very well find themselves in the crosshairs, for lack of a better term. It's a glaring example of the ever-widening gap between the affluent and the working class. So is there a need to balance transparency with protection?
Absolutely. I mean, we all have been watching over the past few weeks, ever since the presidential election, that Elon Musk has been very much involved in what the government should be doing and how to be able to cut back and be much more efficient. And yet, just yesterday, a judge denied him being able to have an annual salary of $55 billion with a B. Now, certainly he's the wealthiest person in the world today, but when individuals who are out on the street hear those kinds of numbers and they're facing difficulties on their own in being able to get through day by day, it obviously creates a concern that ultimately is going to have to be dealt with.
Yeah, James, we appreciate your insight. Tough topic. James Moore, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.